Hi everyone, it's Friday, September the 4th, and thanks for joining us for another Market Outlet Seeds video crop update. We've had a number of questions about corn maturity in the last week, so we're hoping to briefly address those today. I'm starting this week's video in a field of P7861 Acre Max in the Pansy, Manitoba area. This particular field had a fantastic start, experienced some dry spells in the middle of summer, and then had some more timely rain at grain fill. So right now, plant health is actually looking excellent. In this particular field, the kernels are sitting at about half milk line. And just a reminder to you that when you snap those ears to check for milk line, always look at the tip of that ear. Otherwise, you'll be seeing the kernel embryo, and that can be quite misleading when it comes to trying to read that milk line. This is fantastic news for this crop, because when we're sitting at half milk line, that means we're starting to be less worried about frost risk. If we do have a light frost that just kills the leaves at this point, we're only looking at about a 5% yield reduction. If we have a complete killing frost on this particular stand tonight, we're only looking at about 12% loss. So this is fantastic news. So this corn that's on drier ground and has a great start with even emergence, we're looking for possibly a slightly earlier than normal start to the harvest season. We do have some issues on heavier ground and where the emergence wasn't even, as some of that corn, which is slower out of the ground, is lagging behind in maturity. So we're definitely going to need a couple more weeks for those stands in terms of getting good grain corn. The other question we have is in terms of silage timing. Half milk line is also quite ideal. However, we also want to look at the whole plant moisture level. In this particular field, this would be ready for harvest, and we in fact have had a few customers that have started chopping this week. However, it's most important that you use a whole plant moisture. To aid you with proper harvest timing, Market Outlet Seeds is bringing back their annual wood chipper season, where we can come and collect some representative plants from your field, chop them into small pieces, and then run a Coster test to give you an accurate whole plant moisture level. This will be starting next week, and we're going to provide a much more detailed update in terms of silage harvest timing. I've moved on to one of the latest planted soybean plots that we have for 2020, and it's located near Giroux. In this particular field, all of the plants were well above my waist height until a couple of weeks ago, when we started to see them lodge a little bit. Looking at them today, there are some plants that seem to be dying off prematurely. When we spread that canopy, we can definitely find some white mold developing in this particular field. While sclerotinia is never good for your yield, it's not an entirely bad thing to see in your field because it usually grows in those places where there's an extremely high yield potential. And that brings us to the last reminder for this week's video. We'd like to remind you that our yield challenge is once again going on this year. So please let us know if you have those side-by-side plots so we can scout them and be prepared for harvest time. We'd like to be efficient and minimize how much contact we have with you in the field, if at all possible. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call, and have a wonderful weekend.